This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's Partnership Coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Jordan Agolli from Force Media. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Shannon, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I love what y'all are doing for the agency marketing world, so I'm excited to chat.
Thank you. I'm really excited to do this too because I noticed a trend, and I hear it from guests a lot, that agency workers don't really talk to each other a lot. We want all of our secrets.
They said that. Interesting.
Yeah, people want secrets. Sometimes, I know that we have panels. There's events that happen every once in a while for networking, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of secretive with how they do things. And I really like this podcast because I feel like all the secrets are out there now.
That's really interesting. Now that I think about it, that could be the case for a lot of people. I'm in the vein of I love having open networking and just opportunities to meet other business owners and agency owners, but I can see why people would hold their secrets and might get a little intimidated. But I love meeting other agency owners. I try to network and meet other people. So this is great.
I like that too. So it's good. We're on the same page with that. But yeah, I think I don't know. Some people, I understand it. I think that some people are worried that, they let out their secrets. It's like their secret formula and they don't want someone to copy them. But at the same time, I feel like if you're doing good work, then you don't really have to worry about that.
Exactly. And for the most part, we all are working with the same tools. And so I guess it also depends on the different types of agencies because there's so many. But we can dive.
Of course. Okay, well, first, let's just introduce you a little bit better. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got to this point in your career and what led you to found Force Media?
Yeah. Long story that I will keep more brief.
It's okay if you have a long story. If it's interesting, if it's got twists and turns, we're always down for that.
You know what? It does. How long is this podcast today? 45?
Yeah, if you got time, you got time.
Okay. So I'll actually give more of an in-depth story because just this morning at the gym, I ran into a guy from my old middle school that I've not seen in like 15, 20 years. And we were catching up.
Wow.
And he actually asked me, like, how did you get into what you're doing today? Did you go to school for it? Like, how did you build this business? And it's a question that I get a lot because I feel like in society, Shannon, how old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Okay, so I'm 30. So we're not that far apart in age.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of times as I'll call ourselves youngins, we have this perception of what we think our life is going to be, that we have to all figure it out. And we feel like adults older than us, like when I was a young kid and teenager, I thought people in their 20s and 30s had everything figured out. They had their career. They had it all set to go. And this is just not how life works. It almost never goes A, B, C, D, maybe goes A to Z, back to M, and it's all over the place. So for me, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would have Force Media and I'd be doing what we're doing today, I would never have believed you. I probably would have laughed. Be like, I'm not even into creativity. So I will backtrack a little bit. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My mom is from England. My dad is Albanian. I've got European parents, so first generation here in the United States. And my parents, I have an entrepreneurial family. My parents started a medical clinic here in Georgia in early 2000. And so from a kid, I got to watch my parents build this business. I really thought everyone's mom and dad had a business. You just go to work with mom and dad after school. You work on weekends, and the greatest childhood ever. Just so much opportunity and love and like support to grow and just try different things. And the older I get, the more I'm really grateful to my parents for just the opportunities that they gave us. And my brother was entrepreneurial. My brother, I would follow in my brother's and my dad's footsteps, and we would have all these different small businesses. dog walking, car washing. We'd buy bulks of candy and joke gifts off of eBay and sell them at school. And just always trying to figure out a way to make some money because our parents wouldn't give us an allowance. They told us that we had to work. Fast forward, and I got into a pressure washing and landscaping business with one of my best friends in high school. Started off small doing volunteer work for his dad's church, and then we started making a small business for ourselves. And at that time, this was 2009 or 2008. In 2009, I started running Facebook ads for our pressure washing and landscaping business. Again, knowing what I was doing, Facebook is only a few years old at this point. And I started, listen, marketing back in the day, at least in our day, was so much easier. You would purchase like an online directory listing. You could sign up for an online marketing service and the leads would just come flowing in.
Mhm.
And so I did the marketing for our business, let's see, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. But again, I want to be really clear here. I was not some savant, some just wildly genius kid out here. This was just, I knew what Facebook was. These people, it just was an opportunity. It just was there. It was just there. Wasn't anything unique. So I did that business and learned a lot. And then I discovered podcasting in 2012, 2013. And I thought this is the most amazing platform ever. It's free online education. And keep in mind, very, very different podcasts than what we have today.
Yes.
A lot. And I was just listening to a lot of business podcasts. Quick side note. My plan was to go to college. Had great grades. I had a 4.0 GPA, president of student council, great SATs, great ACTs. And I got expelled from my high school the summer before my senior year for drinking on a service trip in China. Me and my class, we'd gone out there to volunteer at an orphanage. And me and my friends got drunk and drank, and we got caught, and we got kicked off the trip early, and I got expelled that next Monday.
Expelled. Wow, that's crazy.
Exactly. And what was crazy was, keep in mind, for anyone out there, think back to when you're in high school. You don't have a perception of what else is out there. High school is your life at that point. And Shannon, I had everything going. I mean, I had the picks of the colleges I wanted to go to. Life was great. I get expelled, and I'll never forget the principal. I'd been at the school for 11 years, and the principal said, Jordan, we're going to expel you because you're a leader of our school, and we cannot, our president, making mistakes like this, and we have to make an example out of you for the student body.
That's so harsh, though.
It was. The irony is actually, do you want to know something really funny, Shannon? His name was Mr. Harsh. I swear to you, his name is Mr. Harsh.
He lives up to his name. That's incredible. There's kids in my high school that didn't get expelled for much worse than that.
Oh, the irony was there was a big drug bust at my school earlier that year, and only 3 people had gotten expelled. So it was, let's just say a lot of people were not happy about this.
Interesting.
Well, I'll tell you why this is so important. Because one, it was hysterical. And by the way, Scott Harsh, if you're listening out there, I love you. I appreciate you. You did a lot for the school. I'm not mad at you. You really changed my life for the better. So for expelling
everything happens for a reason, even if it sounds not good at first.
It really does happen for a reason. So here's what happened. I get expelled. I'm upset, angry, hurt. My whole life, everyone in my life starts to find out. And end up realizing I only need 2 course credits for high school to graduate. So I was like, dang, I'm not going to go back to school. I'm just going to do online school, and I'll work. I'll figure things out. So I was working. I was doing school online, building my business. And 9 out of 10 colleges denied my application. That I went to. Every school that I was planning to go to denied my application. And that's when, can we cuss on here or no? Hold on.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
So that's when when shit got real. And I didn't get into any colleges that I wanted to go to. The only school that I got into was Oglethorpe University, which, by the way, I'm not here to talk badly about anybody. I think Oglethorpe is a great school.
Oglethorpe. I'm sorry, that sounds like you just made it up. I thought that wrong.
No.
The name is funny.
Actually, it looks like a Hogwarts castle. It really does look like Hogwarts. It's awesome. I love Harry Potter. But it's more of like a liberal arts school. And I went for a couple months. They gave me a partial scholarship, and I went for a few months, and I dropped out after like 2 months. I was like, okay, this is not for me. But I say all of that. The tangent was I discovered podcasting, and I discovered podcasting the same time I was going to college at that point. Just going for business. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I had sold the piece of my landscaping business back to to my best friend and business partner. And I was like, all right, I got to figure out what I want to do next with my life. I discovered podcasting, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing tool. But there was no podcast out there for young entrepreneurs, because I kept listening to all these business podcasts. And I was like, I want to know how people built their business from their childhood. I don't just want to know how they got to $1 million. I want to know their childhood all the way up until they built their business. So I bought an online course called Podcaster's Paradise, created by John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire. He has the longest running business show. He's been doing a daily podcast for over 10 years. He's got almost 3,000 episodes.
Oh,
I love John so much. John gave me an amazing opportunity. I bought this course, and I was able to go into this worldwide community of at that time, a few hundred podcasters, now a few thousand podcasters. I was by far the youngest person there. And I started this podcast called Teenage Entrepreneur. It's still live and out there today. And the whole podcast was about telling the story of business owners from their childhood all the way up until when they started their business, and the story of how they built their business. Because it doesn't matter if you're 25 or 55, if you're just starting a business, you are a young entrepreneur. And that, between getting expelled and doing the podcast, those two things really shifted the trajectory of my life, because the getting expelled really forced me to look at what other options were out there. And I also want to say this, Shannon, a lot of people in my life, like my family, my friends, best friends, people that I really loved and I thought had my back, dropped during that time. Friends, parents said they couldn't hang out with me anymore. I went from being the star student to being the bad kid. And it was a painful lesson at that time, because I felt like everybody was against me. I'm not here to say, woe is me, woe is me. It's just how I felt at that time. And for youth, because now I'm 30 years old, I have more emotional maturity, but at that time, it really kind of broke me internally. I had to rebuild my confidence. And I'd say this, like, for anybody out there that has really been knocked down bad, it just is an opportunity for you to rebuild yourself back up into something better and new, almost like the phoenix rising out of the ashes.
yeah.
And my story is definitely a testament to that. And I haven't even really got the crazy parts yet.
That also shows you the importance of the people that do stick with you during that time, though. I think that's
Yeah.
something that's really important. When you get to your lowest lows, you figure out who's really supporting you no matter what.
You do. And some people today, in fact, there's actually his birthday today. Shout out Roger Grant. Roger's about 10, 15 years older than me. He's a black belt in my karate that I've done my whole life. And I remember when I was 17 and I got expelled, he actually took me to lunch and gave me a book and was like mentoring me. And fast forward 13 years later, we're very close friends. He's got 4 kids now, and we just still stay in touch all the time. And I thanked him recently. I said, hey, man, like, you don't know the impact you had on me at that time. It's just those little check-ins, especially for someone, I say the younger crowd, but it could be anybody that's really just going through it at that time. So jumping back to the timeline and the story, I start this podcast, and that is my introduction to storytelling, creativity, media production, interviewing. I had never touched a camera. I'd never touched anything audio related. The only creative thing I'd done is run the online ads. I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, I love interviewing people. I love telling stories. I love connecting with others. And I grew my podcast through Facebook ads. So I started getting thousands of listeners all over the world very quickly, and I was starting to make a name for myself in this industry. At that same time, I had a mentor who owned a website design agency. And he came to me and he's like, Jordan, I'm really impressed with all your businesses you've built and your marketing skills. Would you be interested in joining my marketing agency? I was like, I thought about it. I was like, okay, I'm doing this podcast, but I'm not really making any money. I'm just trying to figure out what's next for my life. Yeah, I'll do this. This would be great. And so I joined the website design agency, and I do everything for them. Project management, SEO, blogging, copywriting, their personal assistant, whatever they needed. I was just a sponge. And credit to them. So Shannon, they really gave me an amazing opportunity. And if I think back on that, what I learned the most from that organization was I got to be in rooms with executives and high-level CEOs that I just never would have had the place being in before. And I got to see how people operate at a multi-million-dollar level. Okay, I'm really learning a lot. The place that I worked for also was toxic internally. There's just kind of issues with the management. And I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to go do my own thing again. And I missed running my own business. So I left that agency and I started Force Media in January of 2016. At that time, all it was just podcast production for businesses and marketing consulting. Here's the irony, Shannon. Nobody wanted a podcast for their business in 2016. They didn't think it was valuable. They didn't see an ROI. I was like 2 or 3 years too early.
You got to be ahead of the curve.
You do. And I just honestly didn't the foresight in how to explain to these business owners on why they should get ahead in advance. That's okay.
That's what makes a good entrepreneur, is knowing what's going to be.
It is. It really is. Getting ahead on trends really can make or break your business. So fast forward, I was doing marketing consulting for a lot of different businesses. And at the end of 2016, I had an orthodontist client ask me if I could make testimonial videos for him. And I was like, ironically, his name was Dr. Jordan. And I said, Dr. Jordan, I don't know how to do videos yet, but I really see social media becoming a very video focused. So I did catch on to one trend slightly. And I was like, hey, listen, I'll make you videos for free. If you give me like 6 weeks, I'll buy a camera, I'll buy some lights and some audio equipment. I'll give you free videos. And so I started making videos, and you'll see a theme here. I did an online course teaching me how to make videos. I'm a big believer in continuing education. And I just started offering free testimonial videos to doctors all over. And here's the exchange. I'll give you free testimonial videos if you give me a testimonial about my business and let me at least talk to you about marketing consulting. So video was my lead gen tool for marketing because my videos sucked. They were not impressive, but got my foot. So I fell in love with making videos, but I'm not a natural born creative. I classify creativity into 2 realms. Abstract creativity and literal creativity. Abstract meaning the people that can walk into a room and they see the interior design. They can match colors together. They can match fashion. I am the opposite of all those things. My brain is more like, how do we bring something to life and do it operationally efficiently? I always used to think I wasn't creative. It's just a different style of creativity.
I love that. No, I really agree with that, because I feel like creativity comes up in conversation a lot, and a lot of people think it in an artistic way. And I don't think that that's necessarily what defines creativity for me, because I think that a lot of people are creative and innovative in a more, I don't know how to, exactly how you kind of said it, in more of a, maybe like a
literal way.
mathematical kind of way. Yeah.
Operational, literal. I totally understand. And I'll say this. Here's the irony. And I'll keep going with the story, but as the irony of this is I'm now the owner of a big creative agency. I'm the least creative person on my team. So how did that work? Well, it's because I understand business and I understand creativity. And there is such a wedge between business executives and creatives. And let me tell you, without executives, creatives don't have a dime to make. And without the creatives, the executives don't have anything to show. It's like movie studios nowadays. You've got battles between them, but guess what? You really cannot have one without the other. And so it's one of my best skills is speaking the language of both teams and understanding it very well. So back to this. And the note about the creativity is this is really important because, and this is a PSA to all creatives out there, don't be so judgmental to people that are exploring creativity. Like I felt very put down. Like for example, little things like it could just be drawing, dancing, singing, acting. If you tear someone down, you may close off the door and they'll never open that up again. And it hurts my heart to I've experienced that and it hurts my feelings. And that's not cool because in the same vein to business people, don't look down upon someone creative that doesn't understand how to make money out of their business at all. Like that's cool. Kind of makes you a less than person because you're lifting others up. And I just don't like that. Like we can really help both sides learn about both industries.
We can have these spaces be so much more accepting, but I think that a lot of people kind of have a chip on their shoulder about their come up story. And therefore, if you're doing it differently than them, they don't support it. But I definitely, I think that we should be more accepting in these spaces. It makes me think of my stepdad is one of the most creative, artistic people that I've ever met. He just started painting, but his entire life, he had never, ever done it. And it was just because that wasn't, he's 65.
Look at that.
And I love it. It makes me
That's
so
so nice.
happy he's so happy doing it, and I think that those spaces just weren't very accepting for someone like him who was kind of like a mechanical kind of guy.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and yeah, and so jumping back to the story because it all kind of goes together. Is I always felt like I didn't belong in the creative world. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have value to add until I started making videos and clients kept hiring me. And I was like, dang, like my videos are not as good as these other people, but my marketing skills are way better than all the creative people. So back to the timeline of the business, I'm always been good at advertising, but I start making videos. I'm making very okay videos. Then once again, I find this online course. Shout out shout out Paul Xavier, Anthony Gallo, and the content creators team. I bought this online course called Next Level Creators that taught me how to connect my paid ads and digital advertising with my video production to generate leads for businesses because I saw a problem. I couldn't compete with video quality for these very talented creatives. They were kicking my ass. But my marketing skills were way better than theirs. And I was like, you know what? Instead of just selling videos, I should sell lead generation and marketing services to businesses. So instead of paying $5,000 for a video and you get it one time, you're paying $5,000 for a video and a monthly retainer fee, but we're going to send you new leads for your business. And I was like, okay, this is an attractive revenue model that I can build. So that's what I started to build out was a full service paid lead generation. So for example, we come into a dentist office. We shoot all their brand videos, their testimonial videos, their meet the staff videos. We make them all for them. Then we run their ads. And now they're getting 10, 20, 30 new patients per month, all from our services. So Force Media is no longer just a video guy. He's no longer just a marketing guy. They do everything for it. And we started to make a name for ourselves. So this is where the story gets a little crazier. I started the business in 2016. 2017, I have a second-degree black belt in karate, and I had a very bad back injury in 2017. Two things happened. I was hiking, and I fell off a small cliff edge and hurt my back. I was about 10 feet from a 250-foot drop and nearly died. So grateful that I did not die.
Oh.
But I went over the cliff edge. I dropped about 8 feet. I hit a rock ledge, bounced another 8 feet into a body of rocks and water. And at this point, like, I'm sore, I'm hurt, I'm cut up, but I'm alive, I'm walking, I'm fine. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at home. I sit on my bed and I bend over. My back seizes up. And I didn't know what was happening, but I collapsed from my first back spasm to the point where, like, my whole back seizes up. I can't stand up. I can barely breathe. I go to the emergency room. I'm starting to have back spasms. Fast forward a few months later, I'm fighting in a karate sparring match. I throw a kick at a guy's head. I felt something tear in my lower back. It sends electrical pain up my neck. It sends electrical pain down my legs. And I was like, oh shit, like I think I just tore something. So fast forward, I tear I tear 2 discs during that fight. And I spend 1 year trying to get healed naturally from this. Chiropractors, massage therapists, injections. Again, my dad has an integrated medical clinic, so I do everything I can there. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. A year later, I realized I'm going to have to do a back surgery. And what had happened was the disc tear in my lower back had started leaking disc fluid, and the disc had caused inflammation in my lower back. So when I went in for my surgery, I had multiple herniated discs, multiple bulging discs, and multiple torn discs. I went from 185 pounds. I'm 6 feet tall. I went from 185 pounds, squatting 350 pounds, dunking a basketball, to losing 45 pounds, can't put on my own socks and shoes, can't lift, can't do anything. I've lost all my quality of life. I am in agony every day. I can't sleep through the night. I can't sit on a chair for more than 20 minutes. It was hell on earth. So I get this back procedure done, a minimally invasive surgery where they inject a substance into your back called fibrin that will seal the disc tear, stop the leaking disc fluid. And thankfully, the surgery worked, except I was left with side effects. I went in, and when I left, I had 0 range of motion in my lower back, meaning it felt like they had poured cement into my lower back, and I could not bend over at all. So fix one problem, replace it with another.
Oh my God.
And to everybody listening, this will all tie back to business.
Wow.
So I wish I could say it gets better. It only gets worse.
Oh,
So I spent 18 months rehabbing from the surgery. And Shannon, I honestly got back to like 80% of my health. I was great. I gained my weight back. I could lift. Well, don't clap yet. It'll get
I know. I
precious.
heard the day words. I'm just trying to give you, like.
Yeah. And I'm doing great. I'm like, oh my gosh, like my quality of life is back. And keep in mind, so 2016, I'm getting the business started. 2017, we're on this upward path. 2018, I get hurt. We're on a downward path. So I really can't grow the business. 2019, I'm back up again. And I'm like, okay, great. We're on an upward trajectory. 2020 hits. And we all know what happened during 2020.
Oh.
So 2020 hits. I am at my parents' house. I bend over to pick up a basketball, and I felt like someone stabbed me in my spine. I have my second back spasm. But this time round, I'm incapacitated. I call my parents from outside screaming. I said, guys, I cannot move. I need you to carry me to my car. They carried me to my car. They drove me home. I was in bed for a couple of weeks, having bad back spasms again. This time, I do not recover quickly. And then 2 months after I had the back spasms, I catch COVID. This is also during beginning of COVID when there's no rapid tests. There's no testing. I got COVID June of 2020. So think back during that time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm like freaking out. I'm at home for 27 days. I have another back spasm while I'm at home, and I herniate a disc while I'm at home. Like, honestly, thinking back to this, it was so bad.
Bad.
It was so bad.
Not getting expelled from high school was bad.
Life work. I'll take that 10 times over. But I'm at home. I have back pain. I'm injured. I'm sick. I'm scared. I'm trying to run my business. So I finally recovered from COVID. I'm kind of shit out of luck with my back health, but I start having really bad long COVID symptoms. My sinuses are not the same. My brain fog is not the same. I start having gut issues. Like I'm sick. Forget the back stuff for a problem. Like I'm sick now. So also I was getting married at the end of that year. And I remember talking with my wife and I was like, listen, my only goal is just to be able to walk down the aisle and then we'll reevaluate my health from. And both my mom and my wife asked, like, do you want to push the wedding? And I was like, no, I don't want to push this. Like everything has already changed so much because, we had to go from a 150 person wedding to a backyard 15 person wedding. And I want to say this. I was extremely depressed and suicidal for a 2-year period from pretty much 2018 to 2020. There were many times I thought about taking my own life. There was many times I just didn't see a way out. And my message, my PSA to people out there would be this. I have lost family members from suicide. If you are ever in a dark place like that, I will say this. The pain that you will cause your loved ones and family members is 10 times the amount of pain that you're going through yourself. Actually, that was one of the things that I really had to remind myself, like, people love me. I can get through this. I can get through this. Because I lost a family member to suicide a few years ago, and our heart's broken. We've never recovered from this. And what he was going through, we could have figured out for him. Now, I'm not saying what people are not going through is real, but as someone that was in that dark space, I just want to say, like, you really just can't give up. Even in your darkest days, it will be nothing compared to what you're going to put your family and friends through. And you can come out of that space. You really can come out of that space, whether it's financial, physical, mental, emotional, whatever you've gone through. Someone is out there ready to love and help you. And I know this is a business podcast, but I say all of this because if your personal, mental, and physical, emotional health are not in check, your business will never succeed, or it will blow up and collapse in your face. And I have many examples that I've seen of that from people. So I'll wrap up the story with this. We get married. I'm able to walk down the aisle. We come back and I was like, okay, I'm going to reevaluate my life right now. I go to my father's medical clinic. I get a lot of blood work done. I change my diet. I change everything that I'm putting into my body. And I did a really intense detox. I did different medications, different foods, all to get rid of inflammation, get rid of the brain fog, get rid of the long COVID symptoms. And after 3 months, I really started feeling a lot better. I didn't really suffer from any COVID symptoms again. I started gaining my weight back. I was physically feeling better. But then I was still left with my back injury. And I'm like, shit, like, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. At this point, it's January of 2021. Business is growing. I'm healthy. No, I'm sorry. It's February, I'm growing again. I'm healthy. I can focus on the business. And fast forward to about, let's see, March, April of 2021, I realize the only thing I've not done to try to get healthy is take time off of work. I moved on my own when I was 19. It'd been 7 years of working full time. I never really took a break. And I thought about it and I was like, I would give up my business. I would give up every dollar that I have, everything that I own, if I could just have a day without being paid. And so I was like, you know what? I want to put my money where my mouth is and I'm going to do this. And I talked to my wife and I said, hey, how would you feel if I shut down the business and I did therapy full time for 4 months? And we looked at the numbers and I looked at the business and I looked at everything. And I made the decision that I was going to shut down my company for 4 months. I let my staff members go. I let 99% of my clients go. I only kept one client to pay our lease. And thankfully, during that time, everyone, including the staff, everyone was very understanding and very supportive because they just saw me going through so much pain. And I did full-time therapy May, June, July, August of 2021. And it was crazy. The month that we shut down the business, I had about $50,000 of new work come in that I had to say no to. And I remember the universe being like, do you want the money or do you want your health? So I reopened the business back in 2021 of September. Our first month, we made $900. And I remember thinking, holy shit, what have I done? I've just lost a lot of business. I'm going to have to rebuild from everything. And fast forward to today, I've got 4 full-time staff members. We're bigger than we've ever been before. We've grown 20 to 30% each year with 25% profit margins. And I'm really, really proud of that. And my health is in an amazing place. I am not suicidal anymore. I am very happy with how my health is. I have a very strict health routine, a lot of stuff that I do to maintain everything. But here's why I say all of this, a very long story. I actually had not intended to share all the health stuff today. But as an agency owner and as a business owner, I see so many people sacrifice their health. So many people. They sacrifice their health to gain wealth and spend their wealth to get their health back. And what a backwards ass way of thinking. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit about any dollar amount. If you're not healthy to enjoy it, it means nothing. It means nothing. I really don't care. So I say all of this to just share my story of like, look, I have been given so much opportunity. I've been blessed with a lot of privilege. I've also worked my ass off. I've dealt with some really challenging crucibles that I've overcome. And I would say this, I love my agency. I love what we do. I love helping small businesses. I love what we built. But my North Star is my health. And I kid you not, Shannon, you'd be shocked at like how many people connect with that story business to business because so many people are dealing with health problems. And that's what they really connect with. And so I just share that because anyone out there that's listening, whether in marketing or doing their own business, make sure you have your physical and mental and emotional health. I wouldn't say handled because it's hard to always do that, but in check and you're actively working with it because at some point, one of a few things is going to happen. You are going to get sick. You are going to get burnt out. You are going to be unhappy. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be suicidal. Something's going to give and it's not going to be good for you. And you're going to realize like, dang, I spent all this time and I wasn't focused on the one thing that mattered, which was taking care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, you can build anything. So that is the long story of Jordan, Agolli, and the Force Speed.
I really appreciate you sharing that with me, not only because of one, that I know you said you're an open book, but that is, a lot of that is very personal and it's very nice to be able to have shared that with all of us, I guess, everyone that's watching as well. But also, I think that's something that really I've noticed about business podcasts and people that share their stories is, and I think you touched on this a little bit in the beginning, that people don't talk about their lows enough. And I think that is at a detriment to anyone listening trying to start their own business because they kind of run with this farce that people aren't going through a rough time and it's always like easy and it's always there's no hiccups in getting to this point that people want in their goals or being successful, and that's just not true, and that's not being a human, and that's not And even if there was somehow you got lucky enough that there was no hiccups in your come up story, that doesn't mean that there won't be. And that also is not, that's not the most common scenario. And I think that people really need to learn to deal with these things as they come, and you can't predict things. And I think that's a huge thing about an overarching theme about marketing in general, is that you can't predict the future accurately all the time. And that's like,
Yeah.
marketing is a gamble in a huge way because of that. And I think that's kind of, oh, my boss will laugh at this. He loves to compare marketing to different life lessons.
Oh, I do it all the time. Bob and I would get along.
You definitely would.
I do it all the time. And I'm a firm believer in this too, Shannon. Everyone in life is going to be dealt a crucible. And I've actually analyzed this with my own family. And I urge everyone else to find your crucible and get mentally prepared for it to kick your ass. For me, it's my health. For my father, he's had the death of his mom, dad, brother, and sister. He's had very troubling that. My mom was born into an abusive family. My sister was born with special needs challenges, and I have family members born with mental health challenges. All of them, I would not take their problem. I will keep my problems. I'd be like, damn, I'll take my injuries. But everyone has this. And once you can just acknowledge, hey, listen, life is going to suck. It's going to kick your ass. You better deal with it and equip yourself with tools to handle what is going to happen. Because this shit is coming anyways, whether you want it to or not. And the same thing for business too. Business is going to kick your ass. It is a guaranteed, can guarantee success. I can guarantee failure. That is what I can guarantee. That's what I can guarantee. So,
I'm going to make that the tagline of the video.
I quote down. I can guarantee success. I can guarantee failure. And once you just acknowledge that, but I agree with you, Shannon, people don't talk about the lows enough. And that's one of the things that I connect with, which is like, if you just close $10 million in sales, shit, that's hard to connect to with everybody else. But if you talk about all the challenges you faced along the way, it's what people connect with, because we all have challenges. We definitely don't all have successes.
No, I definitely, I agree with that so much. It hurts, because I think that entrepreneurs, is similar advice to what I said in the beginning about agencies, is that entrepreneurs don't want to share about their hardships, because they want to appear higher than life a lot of the time. And I understand that. I understand. Because of course you want to seem confident and have this facade for your clients that you're always capable and you're always in this good, because you want to seem reliable in a way. But I think that reliability does not translate to humanity. I think that
No, it doesn't.
people are human. Just like I think people truly want to see that other people are human. And I hope that there's more spaces, that there's more people like you that share things like this, especially for those that have this or have these issues in their lives and their journey as a business person, because a lot of people don't get to see these parallels between them and other business owners, because these people don't advertise that bad things happen. And sometimes people over advertise when bad things happen. I think that's really hysterical. I love LinkedIn. I think
It's crazy. Yeah, LinkedIn has gotten wild. But that's the story. I know I took 30 minutes to answer the first question. So
I'm happy.
Keep going.
Okay, well, let's. I'll have a quick segue then. Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, going completely off base. So, well, what I wanted. So, this was a big thing that I haven't seen. I love pointing out things that are very unique about a website that I notice off the bat. Okay, we're only accepting 2 clients per month. Does this have anything to do? Does this have anything to do with any of the story that you just told me, or is this just?
I'm only laughing. You know, sometimes what cracks me up about society is when you put something out there, your audience decides what's most important. And so that's the number one most commented thing when people watch our brand video, all this. That came out of, it didn't have to do with the story. It came out of, a lot of marketing agencies will sell, and it's a churn and burn. Hey, we had 4 clients, we lost 2, but we're growing. It doesn't matter. And they don't really care about helping their clients actually grow their business. And the agency I used to work at, the owner would just sell all the time. And he wouldn't think about operations and fulfillment and would put a lot of pressure on us and it would hurt the client's results. And I said, you know what? We can successfully onboard and manage 2 new clients a month. And I feel very confident with that. Ironically, we're in the middle of a website design update. And also, that's 2 clients per department. So we've got 3 departments. We've got social media management, video production, and paid ads. So we could take on 6 clients, but it's 2 clients per department.
You're not going to explain all of that in the tagline.
Yeah, we're not going to explain all of that. And it works out well because we say no to 50% of the work that comes our way. Because at this point in business, if I don't believe in something, if our mission and values don't align, and frankly, if I don't like the owner and people I work with, we're not working with you.
I like that. Well, actually, I was going to, on the same lines of that, do you have an ideal client? Like, do you have someone that you, like, give me an example, maybe like general traits of someone that you'd really like to work with?
Well, let me say this. I'm pulling up on my computer right now. I created something called an ideal client profile, which to all the people out there listening, I'm going to search for this as we talk. My mentor educated me on this 2 years ago, and it's an ICP, an ideal client profile. And I guess we could link this up. Shannon, I'll send this to you afterwards if you want to put in screenshots. But
yeah, that sounds great. Actually, if you're okay with that, I would love
here's my ideal client profile. Also, this might be a little bit outdated. It's been a minute since I've looked at this, but characteristics: honest, respectful, risk-taking, forward-thinking, lighthearted, and trusting. Here's why. As a marketer, 1, you have to be honest with us and you have to be respectful of us. You have to be able to take risks and be forward-thinking. You also have to be lighthearted and not take yourself too seriously and just trust that what we say is going to work is actually going to work. And then on marketing, so I broke them out because, again, we have different departments. So on marketing, my ideal client is medical, automotive, and home services. So that could be any doctor under medical, landscaping, roofing, decking, home building, and then automotive, like the car show Pimp My Ride. We actually have a client that does that. He customizes.
No way.
Like it's sick. So
I missed that.
And then on the video side, it's industry related, but it's budget related. So minimum $10,000 budget. They have to sell a product or service we believe in. We don't do weddings, music videos, or funerals. And our goal is to maintain 25% margins. And then we have 2 types of clients, either small business owners or executives at corporate companies, CEOs and VPs. Those are the typical people that hire us. And then my clients listed out with actual clients with their title to see if it matches up. And I'm going to read off to you, for example, head of business development, COO, owner, VP, founder, VP. So there's a theme across there. And then the pain points. They have trouble consistently driving leads to their business. They need high quality videos with a team they can trust with being involved. They don't know how to track their marketing. They don't have time to invest in marketing, and they don't understand their current advertising platform. So that's our ideal client profile. Strongly recommend it.
Yeah, no, I think agencies should all keep in mind something that, at least it doesn't even have to be as involved, but just a person that they want to work with. Because I think that obviously a lot of startups definitely have to work with maybe people that they wouldn't prefer, but it just kind of, you need to bring in some money. But I think that there comes a point in an agency or just a business in general that you need to kind of respect yourself to a level where you take in clients that you're happy with working with, and that you're not, there's not a detriment to your team of, feeling burnt out or feeling exhausted dealing with a client.
Exactly. And we fired a client earlier this year for that exact reason. They were disrespectful to our team. They crossed a few lines and gave them the cut and went out and replaced them. So I totally agree.
I really appreciate that. I think that I really value agency owners that are willing to consider the feelings of their staff more than maybe the client. I know that obviously sometimes it's very difficult when you have a big client and you kind of have to make some compromises, but I think that there really is it really is a testament to caring about your staff and knowing when enough is enough.
It's true. And it's also having respect for your staff and respect for yourself and confidence in yourself. Like, hey, listen, I don't give a shit if this client leaves. Well, I care, but we can go replace them. And
Let's
actually,
get another
crazy.
one.
One of my biggest clients that we landed, in my negotiations, I said, hey, we've been negotiating for months, so I don't recommend people do this right off the start. But we've been negotiating for months, and I felt like he was messing me around. And I just said, hey, man, if you don't sign this contract, I'm not threatening you. I'm just telling you I will go work with your competitor because I have a business to grow and money to make, and I can't support this just waiting. He signed the deal 2 days later.
I love that.
Yeah. Because here's what I say this, and listen, people listening, it might come across as cocky. That's fine. I'm almost owning my business for 10 years. I'm 15 years into marketing. I have extreme confidence in my abilities, and we've produced tens of millions of dollars for our clients. I'm not going around being like, oh, we could help you. I know I can help you. If you want to work together, it's going to help us both. If you don't, I'll go work with somebody else. I'm stressing about this. And that comes from not just doing it, but real results and case studies. Real examples.
You have proof that you can do that. Okay, I have one last question for you. So sometimes during the podcast we do a game. But because we didn't have time for the game, and that's okay. That happens a lot too. But I want to ask you one question from the game because I think this is a funny question and I love asking it. Okay. Super random, super absurd. How many eggs do you think you can eat in a waking day?
How many eggs can I eat in a waking day?
Yes.
Can I cook
Not
them
marketing
right
related
now?
at all. Any way you want, you just have to consume eggs.
A lot.
How many?
Like, hold on. Let me just, I mean, here's the thing. I could definitely eat a couple an hour for sure. Like, I mean, I'm just going to do some math right now. I think I can eat an egg every 15 to 20 minutes until I throw up. So whatever math we have from there, I mean it. I'll get sick. I'll probably have diarrhea. I'll throw up, whatever it is. But because I love eggs, I bet you I could do like 6 to 10 hours straight of just eating the eggs. And just I have to have justification behind this. Like, why do you want me doing this? I need to have a good reason.
Gun to your head.
Gun to my head.
Gun to your head. How many eggs?
Gun to my head. The eggs are killing me before the gun. The eggs are killing me before the gun. I'm going to go 40. 40 eggs. That's my answer.
That's true. I've gotten worse. That is more reasonable than some answers I've received.
Here's why.
I think that's I think that's genuinely possible.
Thank you. One egg every 15 minutes for 10 hours, maybe double up on some. But eggs are easy. You can just a little quick ones.
Eggs are good. I love eggs.
Yeah.
That's why
What's your answer?
I've never really answered it myself.
Oh, you're about to?
I think maybe 20 realistically. I think that's actually realistic for me. I've gotten 8 dozen. That's problematic. I don't think that anyone could eat 96 eggs.
Who doesn't? What even is that? 96? Yeah, 96. No way. Here's how I know I could, because I've done this before where I'll have breakfast. I'll have 2 to 3 eggs for breakfast, and then like it could be a late night. I don't go to Waffle House often, but I hit Waffle House a few months ago, and I had 3 or 4 eggs there. So yeah, I mean, it can be done.
It can be done. 40 eggs, it's doable. My goal is to compile all of these segments of asking people how many eggs and making one video.
I love this. And then you have a competition at the end.
Yeah, we'll just see like who's at the top for the and then we make them do it. We're gonna have you back on, and we're gonna make everyone eat a bunch of eggs.
Oh my goodness. Amazing.
And we have Joey Chestnut on, and he's
go.
And we make him eat eggs.
That's so
well. Thank you so much for not only entertaining me with the egg question, but for literally this entire podcast. This was very different from what I usually do, and I'm really happy about it because I truly think that your story is really important for people to hear, and I'm sure you might have shared something like it before, but I really appreciate not only being so honest, but also being so helpful. I think people do need to hear stuff like this, and I don't get it very often. A lot of people are overly confident, and they need to share things that happen to them.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm overly confident. I honestly think I feel an abundance of confidence and absolute anxiety and just fear daily. Like it is like the balancing act of like, am I gonna live? Am I gonna die? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So
Everyone feels like that as a business owner, I feel like too. And we should share about it more often.
They really do. Well, to everybody listening, feel free to reach out to me. My email is jordan@forcemedia.me, and then socials is just @Jordan Agolli. Can't always promise I'll get back quickly, but I really try to respond to everyone. If they have questions, emails, feedback, just here as a resource. Again, I just love to meet other people in the industry. Shannon, shout out you. I do love what you're doing here. And I'm not just saying this when I watch the other times, because I don't say yes to every podcast too. I really qualify if I want to be on there.
I appreciate that.
I think you have a good hosting personality, like your aura and demeanor. I really like, and it's very sincere. So keep going with this. I like it. I'd be happy to come back on in the future and we can actually talk business next time.
Yeah.
So
thank you again so much. And thank you everyone for watching or listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories like this. I really hope that we do get more people like this. Maybe after people see this podcast or listen, they'll be really inspired and maybe they'll want to share more honest things with me.
I hope so too.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you again. Have a lovely day.
You too.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.